Here is Scott in Los Angeles. Great to have you on the program, sir. How are you doing?
Doing great, Rush. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
One day away from making America great.
Again, yes.
Yes, again. Okay, so a famous Democrat said, never let a crisis go to waste.
That's right. That would be Rahm Emanuel.
Rahm Emanuel. With all the talk of Russian hacking, I think that a perfect solution to this is to say that there is only one way to prevent Russians or anybody else in the future from ever hacking or meddling with our elections again.
What's
and
that?
That one way is mandatory voter ID.
You know, it's fascinating you mention this. It is fascinating that of all the things, this Russian hacking, first, thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate it. Let me tell you why this is fascinating to me. In the first place, the Russians did not hack the vote. And there's not a single person who's ever said they did. The conventional wisdom is, in Washington, you have to say, apparently for some reason, you have to admit, you have to acknowledge, the Russians did tamper. Oh, yes. We all agree the Russians tampered. Really? Yeah, well, what'd they do? Well, they hacked. Yeah, hacked what? Well, DNC servers. Okay, what did they do that had anything to do with votes? What did the Russians do? Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Shouldn't they be thanking the Russians on the Democrat side? What more can the Russians do but get her the popular vote? Yes, but Hillary lost the Electoral College. Yeah, well, who knows in advance what you got to do to make that happen? There's nobody, don't doubt me, nobody is alleging the Russians hacked the vote. They want you to think it. They are saying it in such a way they want you and every low-information voter to think the Russians stole the election. They're trying to engrave that narrative on that whole election. But Obama gave his swan song press conference yesterday. You know what he said at this press conference? This is the most incredible thing. He said the reason that we are the only country among advanced countries to make it harder to vote traces directly back to Jim Crow and the legacy of slavery. There is an ugly history to voting rights that we should not be shy about talking about. He went on to blame it on voter ID. The president of the United States had the audacity to say the United States of America is the hardest democracy in the world to vote in. That's just tantamount not true. That's total BS. And they want to lay this at the blame of voter ID. Somehow that stands in the way of fair elections. And the reason is because that's how they cheat, folks. Voter ID prevents dead people voting. It prevents people voting twice and three times under different fake identifications. But for the president to say the reason that we are the only country among advanced democracies that makes it harder to vote traces back to Jim Crow and slavery? Everybody's talking about the sycophantic comments they made about the media. This is outrageous. How many voting rights acts do we have? How complicated and confusing have we made it? All on a premise that black people and minorities are denied the right to vote, and they are not. Nobody is. The Democrats have made it easy for there to be fraud and multiple votes multiple times. Voter ID would clean it up. That enraged me when I heard that yesterday at his press conference. Back in just a second. Obama said yesterday, there's a whole bunch of people out there who are going out there and they want to vote and they're not eligible. We have people who are eligible to vote who don't vote because it's too hard. What an absolute crock. Somehow we got lots of people who want to vote, but they can't. They've got restrictions on them? Like what? This frosts me. Just hang on, we'll be back.